video, we're going to be talking about how the kingdom of God grows. In Mark chapter 4, verse 26 to 29, Jesus says, "The kingdom of God is as if," and then he relates it to a man farming a field. So pause this video, take a moment, and read Mark chapter 4, verses 26 to 29, and make a list of what is needed for the field to grow. Okay, now that you've had a moment to look over Mark chapter 4, verses 26 to 29, you probably have a list that looks something like this on how the farmer cultivates the field. So let's take a moment and look at these different elements of how the field grows. Now, the main point of Mark chapter 4, verses 26 to 29 is that the Spirit gives life. That is the central point of this passage, that the farmer sleeps and rises, and he knows not how, but that the crops begin to grow. That is the Spirit that gives life. But we can observe from the passage that there are other things that the farmer actively does. So, we notice that there's a sower. And in the kingdom of God, the sower is every believer. Every believer is a sower in the kingdom of God. There's the soil, which in the kingdom of God, the soil is lost places, lost people who do not know Jesus. There's the seed, which is the gospel, the good news of Jesus Christ. There's a season, there's a dedication to the process and a commitment that takes time to see the fields grow. There's the Spirit that gives life, the natural processes that the farmer is unaware of that give life to the crops. And there's the sickle. The sickle is the tools that produce the seed for next year's harvest. As you harvest using the sickle, you get seed both for sale and both for eating, but also that same seed is used for next year's harvest as the sower starts the process again. Now let's learn a simple picture to help us remember how the kingdom of God grows. The first thing every sower needs to find is an empty field. They need to know where they're going to enter. Then they need to sow that seed. Then they need to water that seed and watch it begin to grow. And then they need to cut it whenever the harvest is there. And then they need to sow that seed again so that the process can continue to repeat itself. Well, in the kingdom of God, the sower also needs to do these same things. They need to enter new fields. They need to sow the seed of the gospel. They need to nurture that seed and help it grow by biblical discipleship. And then they need to form those new disciples into a church, develop leaders, and help them reproduce this process over and over again, so that churches plant churches. Now grab a piece of paper and practice drawing this process a few times, and then find another believer that you can share this process with of how the kingdom grows.